divine light guides us all.
How about Shemel Shai? How about Shemel Shai? Barakatah Yahweh Shai. Barakatah Yahweh. Barakatah Yahweh. Barakatah Yahweh Shai.
Psalm 145. I will extol thee, my God, O King, and I will bless thy name forever and ever. Every day will I bless thee, and I will praise thy name forever and ever. Great is the Lord, and greatly to be praised, and his greatness is unsearchable. One generation shall praise thy works to another, and shall declare thy mighty acts. I will speak of the glorious honor of thy majesty, and of thy wondrous works. And men shall speak of the might of thy terrible acts, and I will declare thy greatness. They shall abundantly utter the memory of thy great goodness, and shall sing of thy righteousness. The Lord is gracious and full of compassion, slow to anger, and of great mercy. The Lord is good to all, and his tender mercies are over all his works. All thy works shall praise thee, O Lord, and thy saints shall bless thee. They shall speak of the glory of thy kingdom, and talk of thy power, to make known to the sons of men his mighty acts, and the glorious majesty of his kingdom. Thy kingdom is an everlasting kingdom, and thy dominion endureth throughout all generations. The Lord upholdeth all that fall, and raiseth up all those that be bowed down. The eyes of all wait upon thee, and thou givest them their meat in due season. Thou openest thine hand, and satisfiest the desire of every living thing. The Lord is righteous in all his ways, and holy in all his works. The Lord is nigh unto all them that call upon him, to all that call upon him in truth. He will fulfill the desire of them that fear him. He also will hear their cry, and will save them. The Lord preserveth all them that love him, but all the wicked will he destroy. My mouth shall speak the praise of the Lord, and let all flesh bless his holy name forever. Show my love for you.
Abanawa, Shabashimayim, Kodash, Haya, Shemka, Yahweh, Malakwithka, Taba'a, Ratizaka, Haya, Aisha, Ba'aratiza, Kawa, Haya, Bashimayim, Nathananawa, Lakam, Kal Yawam, Wasalak Lanawa, Kawabwat Nawa, Kasalak Nawa, Kawabwati Nawa, Wala'a, Tabaya Nawa, Banasayawan, Abal, Haushai Nawa, Mayan, Rai Kaya, Laka, Hamalakwath, Waha Allah, Wahata Ba'arath, La'ai Walamium, Aman.
How about Shemel Shai? Barakatah Yahweh Shai. Barakatah Yahweh. Barakatah Yahweh. Barakatah Yahweh Shai.
All right, Shalom. First and foremost, I would like to give all praise and glory unto Yahweh Bahashem, Yahweh Shai, Bahashem, Makakodash, double honors unto the apostles and the elders of GMS who rule well, teach well, being great examples to his younger brothers, and peace and blessings and salutation to the hopeful elect out there pushing his word and truth, and in sincerity across the four winds in the name of Yahweh Bahashem Shai, pushing to get up out of there. Shalom to the hopeful elect, the believers, the listeners who have came back to the obedience of the scriptures through faith in Yahweh Bahashem Shai. And what I want to get into today is dealing with how, most of the technology, that is used to run, all right, the devil's AI, a lot of it was created by Jake, and these devils, which they boast in, their high, IQ, they boast in being superior. And this is why they're, in rulership. This is why they do what they do in the earth, because of they are a highly, intelligent, race of people. They highly this and they highly that, and the devil was always exalting himself of being superior. All right, when ultimately the devil was in power because the Lord placed this nigga in power for the sake of prophecy, man. Okay, the Lord has given this nigga the earth. Now the devil, he has been able to tap into, left hand wickedness, demons, enchantments. All right, he's able to enchant people. He's able to deceive. He's able to put people, on the spells through his media. He's able to go into, micro technology, make the, technology super small. He's able to mass produce. He has the resources. Okay, so the devil does have access, to left hand, wickedness. All right, and magic. He's tapped in. He's like no other nation. Okay, and this devil has been able to utilize the technology created within his kingdom, okay, for pure wickedness, man, for pure evil. You see, he has weaponized. He turned everything to a weapon. Okay, and this latest thing is this AI, which he wants to use the AI to govern the earth. Okay, to govern people. Okay, he wants to control the AI, and he wants the AI to control the people. You see, and that's the whole basis of his new world order. All right, is to put a technology as the medium between him, all right, and humanity. Where he can play the most high. Okay, and what people have to answer to is technology, and the technology answers to him. You see, and that's why he wants to merge people with this technology, man. All right, but when we go to Job 9:24, said the earth is given into the hand of the wicked. He covered the faces of the judges thereof, and not where and who is he? Okay, so the earth was given unto this man. Okay, it's not that he's superior, it's not that he's anything great as a nation. The Lord gave this man the earth, and and the main reason was for a lesson for us, man. The Lord showed his sons that he could put the most base man in power and make this nigga like a god in the earth. People look at Esau like a god. You see? And the Lord did that. All right? And there was a punishment for us. It's a chastening for us, the sons of God. Okay? Because the earth was intended to be ruled by the sons of God. Okay? But our disobedience, okay? Our our backslide as a people, beginning with the leadership, all right, led to the predicament that we in now, where the wicked are in authority. Okay, and we've been taught everything not to do. Okay, under Esau Edom, and we're seeing what wickedness looks like in real time, unchecked. Okay, so it's bigger than Esau. He hypes himself up. Okay, parades himself around the earth like he got it figured out, man. Okay, but ultimately this nigga a fraud. All power was given to this nigga. Okay, came from on high. Esau acts like he's this self-made entity in the earth. They're just so highly advanced and so smart and so much ahead of everyone. Okay, that's why he's on top. No, he's been given authority. That's why even you go here as Pilate, go to the dialogue between Pilate and Yahweh Shai. It says, this is St. John. I started chapter 19, verse 10, get to the point. Then said Pilate unto him, and he's speaking to Yahweh, speakest thou not unto me? Knowest thou not that I have the power to crucify thee and power to release thee? Which Pilate, he condemned himself then. It's a whole nother story, but he condemned that because he said he had the power. He condemned himself because he said he had the power to crucify or release Yahweh, because the last say so to crucify him will come from Pilate. Okay, Edom, Rome, the government of Rome. Okay, and that's part of the vengeance that's on the heart of Yahweh. Okay, is what you devils did. Okay. Now say verse 11, Yahweh shall answer, thou couldst have no power at all against me, except it were given to thee from above. Okay, that's the point. Yahweh shall answer, thou couldst have no power at all against me, except it were given thee from above. Therefore have he delivered me unto thee. I says that therefore he that delivered me unto thee, speaking of Jake, have the greater sin. Okay, which this will be the 2/3 of today. Those that chose Barabbas, okay, over Yahweh, okay, wicked niggas. You see, but the point is, Yahweh told Pilate that you can have no power at all against me, except it was given thee from above. Okay, so the power that this devil has today, the authority that he has today, all right, the Heavenly Father put this nigga in power, man. Matter of fact, let's get this here. Let's get this in Romans 13. All right, Romans 13:1. It said, let every soul be subject unto the higher powers. All right, now this was written to Israelites in Rome, in which Rome was known for having revolts and rebellions, uprisings. Okay, well, the Apostle Paul like, nah, that ain't how we get down. As followers of Yahweh, okay, we're not here to stir up sedition, okay, and cause carnal uprisings against the government. Okay, so he's telling these Romans, be subject unto the higher power. Okay, now of course we don't spiritually we follow Yahweh Bashem Al Shai. All right, but as far as the day-to-day civil rules of society, we're subject to. Okay, we stop at the lights, we pay our taxes. Okay, you stop at the stop sign. Okay, law-abiding citizens, man. Okay, but now when it comes to the spirit of this place, that's what we're rebelling. Okay, the worship of idols. All right, self-worship. Okay, the anti-Messiah spirit that dominates this earth. These wicked pagan, holidays. Okay, we denounce, the corruption of this world. Okay, we speak out against the wickedness of this world. Okay, but when it comes to, the civil laws, all right, the civic laws of this society, we abide. Okay, but spiritually, we're against this place, man. You see, but we do the speed limit. It said, for there is no power but of the Most High. You see, there is no power but of the Most High. But this devil, he doesn't mention the Most High. All right, he's always talking about what he's done and what he's going to do next. Okay, without mentioning the Most High. There was a time where he played like this Christian, but he don't transition from that, man. There was a time when, he was big on, in God we trust, but the guy he was speaking of was Satan. They was always speaking of Satan. In God we trust on his money is speaking of Satan, man. Okay? All these small hats that in these chief positions in the earth, they don't mention the Most High. Okay? They're always talking about what they're going to do next. What they got next on the agenda. Okay? It said, for there is no power but of the Most High. The powers that be are ordained of the Most High. Whosoever therefore resisted the power, resisted the ordinance of the Most High, and they that resist shall receive to themselves damnation. So being carnal against Esau, okay, is going against the ordinance of the Most High. All right, because the Most High is getting ready to take this devil down in his way. Okay, now we are to teach against this place, teach against this wicked kingdom, the wicked rulers. All right, the scripture say, go into the gates and shake the hand at the nobles. Okay, and we do that via the internet. Okay, we go to camp. Okay, so we take a stance against the devil in the spirit, as the scriptures say that we should the Lord will consume him by the spirit of his mouth, which are the prophets. Okay, so we teach against the wickedness in high places. Okay, but to go out, and be carnal, to try to do a coup, okay, and be militant against the devil. Well, that's not ordained from the Heavenly Father, but we are ordained to teach against this place. All right, to be against the evil and the wickedness of this place, okay, and prophesy about what the Lord is getting ready to do, okay. But for there is no power but of the Most High, man. So this devil, he has his power, okay, because the Most High placed him in power. It was the Most High's will. Had nothing to do with some damn IQ, which that really doesn't measure intelligence. Even that's a fraud when you get into it. Okay, so let's go here because I want to play this video dealing with Jake. How you have these Jakes, all right, men and women, that came up with a lot of, all right, the technology and mathematics that run, okay, this AI, okay. So let's play this real quick. And you see the video, 14 minutes and 44 seconds. We out of here, man. All right, and the devil tapping into this technology. Hey, the Lord finna switch, because the new government is going to be of that 144,000, okay, 12,000 men from each tribe ruling with Yahweh Shah forever, man. The new government, okay, the men, women, and children that's going to be delivered along, with the first fruit, okay. So the more the devil tap into this technology, the closer we are to getting out of here, man. And when he makes this thing mandatory, when he makes this technology through the microchip, when he makes this thing mandatory, which is the MOTB, all right, and the RFID chip, which is the MOTB, okay, we're out of here, man. A war after that, and we out of here, man. So let's play this. Now he speaks about this ancient, knowledge, that comes from Yoruba, the tribe of Yoruba out of Africa, which is Mali, which those are Jakes. When you go into, there's a lot of Jake in Africa. But specifically we know Yoruba for sure. Okay, out of Mali. Okay, which is towards like West Central, Africa. Okay. And I believe that's what Mansa Musa had his kingdom. I went into that history in a while, but I believe that's Mansa Musa had his kingdom in Mali. Okay, all that wealth, but yeah, it's a wisdom that traces back, to the Yoruba, but ultimately it traces back to Yahweh Shema Shah. All wisdom comes from the Lord. Okay, as you'll get it. Let's play this real quick.
They tell the story of artificial intelligence as if it appeared suddenly, as if it fell from the sky sometime after World War II, born fully formed in white rooms filled with humming machines and men in lab coats. They say AI is new. They say it is Western. They say it is silicon, code, and innovation. But the truth is quieter, older, and far more unsettling for the official story. Artificial intelligence did not emerge from nowhere. It emerged from a lineage. And at the center of that lineage are black minds, African minds, whose brilliance was foundational, structural, and deliberately obscured. David Blackwell was not building chatbots or neural networks. He was doing something far more fundamental. He was formalizing the mathematics of decision itself. He was answering the question every intelligence must answer. How does an entity choose when the world is uncertain? How does one act without full knowledge? How does one update truth as new information arrives? Long before machine learning became a phrase, Blackwell was constructing the logic that allows learning to exist. Probability, decision theory, optimal strategy, information quality. These are not accessories to artificial intelligence. They are its skeleton. When an AI evaluates options, when it weighs outcomes, when it decides one action is better than another, given incomplete data, it is walking along paths Blackwell helped clear. His work made it possible for machines to behave rationally under uncertainty. That is not a small contribution. That is the mind of AI itself. And yet, his name is absent from most AI histories, footnoted at best, erased at worst. Not because his work was minor, but because his presence disrupts the mythology of where intelligence is supposed to come from.
Which the devil pushes that he is the source of source of wisdom. Esau Edom. You know, the narrative is that he's just this, Esau just this all-knowing, all innovative, okay, race of people. Okay, his superiority just comes from him just being naturally, wiser and more gifted than everyone. Okay, he's meant to be in power because of his wisdom. Yeah, he stole, he's, a great rob, okay, murdered. You see, he wages war continually, but he does these things so the superior people can stay in power. Okay, the best, he pushes that he's the best suited, for rulership, when it's the exact opposite, man. Okay, and the scriptures speak about they made no accounts of his labor, which we'll get that. All right, this is David Blackwell. Okay, and the concept, okay, the algorithm used, okay, to run AI, he came up with the concept pretty much. Okay, so let's play this a little more.
Gladys Mae West was shaping something equally essential, though in a different dimension.
And this is the one we went into her the other day. I showed her on the screen. But this is Gladys Mae West. Okay, and this is how you have the math. She mapped out the Earth. All right, using mathematical formulas, and this is where you get the concept of the GPS. Okay, showing you that Jake, the form of all things, as the scriptures say. Okay, you get that as well. Jake is the former of all things. You see, the Israelite man and the Israelite woman. And that's why the Israelite man and the Israelite woman together under Yahweh Bashim al-Shai, that's the most powerful thing. Beginning with the sons of God, tapping back into their power through faith and obedience. Okay. The women in their order under those men, that's a powerful thing. Okay. The Lord made us different, man. Okay. But it was for the sake of ruling the earth in righteousness, man. There's a responsibility with being superior. Not for the sake of just boasting about being superior, but the sake of the earth functioning in righteousness. Okay, there's a responsibility that comes with being superior. And this is what this captivity is teaching us, man.
While Blackwell dealt with abstraction, West dealt with reality itself, its curvature, its shape, its measurable form. She helped mathematically model the Earth so precisely that satellites could speak to it. GPS is not simply a convenience. It is spatial intelligence. It is how machines know where they are. Without that knowledge, intelligence cannot act. A self-driving car without location is blind. A drone without coordinates is lost. A global system without mapping collapses into noise. West's mathematics gave the digital world a body. Blackwell gave it a mind. And both were erased from the dominant narrative while their work became invisible infrastructure, used constantly, acknowledged rarely. This pattern is not accidental. It is ancient. Because long before Blackwell...
So, he goes into the Yoruba tribe of Mali, and different ways that they had of mapping things out. But I want to jump here ahead to show these other, Jakes, okay, that played a major role. Okay.
Work today is broken. Every day, people juggle so many different tools just to get work done.
Processing power that allows modern AI to exist rests.
So yeah, he's gonna go into some more. All right, Jakes that played a part in this AI. Okay, and Esau, not just an AI man, but just a lot of this tech. Okay, the digital age. Okay, and he pushes this notion that Jake is just inferior, man. And even you had Katherine Johnson, all right, the mathematician at NASA. Okay, that made it possible for Esau to get to space. When you go into their history, that movie Hidden Figures was based on, real characters. Now they had some dramatization and they had some off timelines, when you really go into the history behind those women in Hidden Figures, but they was all real women. They were Jake women that played a part. All right, and Katherine Johnson played a major part. Dorothy Vaughan, all right, the heavyset woman in Hidden Figures. Okay, she played a part in running those IBM processors, man. Showing you that the Israelite man and the Israelite woman made different, man. And that's a glory to Yahweh B'Shem Al-Shai. Okay, but the Lord, he had to break that up. We had to go through everything. We had to go through the curses had to be fulfilled. We had to be punished. We had to be humbled down. But the Lord shows you, he gives you a sneak peek of who his people are. By letting, and there's a lot of, we can go on for days and days just going to different individuals. Okay. But this just the Lord shows, all right, that this people is extraordinary. These ain't ordinary people that these devils put in captivity. Okay? And it's also the Lord showing us that it's not our ability, all right, our lack of ability that put us in captivity, but it's our lack of humility. Okay? And that's why this captivity was meant to push humility, man. So let's play this.
On hardware innovations shaped by black engineers who were rarely placed at the center of the story. The leap in computing speed that made today's AI workloads possible traces back to Dr. Mark Dean, whose work on the gigahertz chip and the color PC monitor helped turn computers into the powerful visual and computational tools AI depends on. Without speed, learning collapses. Without processing power, intelligence stalls. The collaborative intelligence celebrated in modern AI systems, multiple agents learning, updating, and working simultaneously, did not emerge spontaneously either. Clarence "Skip" Ellis laid the groundwork decades earlier through operational transformation, the mathematical logic that allows multiple users to interact with the same system in real time. What is now branded as cloud intelligence and shared AI workspaces rests on principles he helped establish long before such ideas were fashionable. Even Silicon Valley's earliest foundations were shaped by black leadership that history prefers to blur. Roy Clay Sr., often called the godfather of Silicon Valley, led early software development efforts and headed the team that created Hewlett-Packard's first computer in 1966. Before the mythology of garages and lone geniuses, there were black architects building the infrastructure modern computing stands on. And when AI researchers boast about massive parallelism, thousands of processors working simultaneously to train neural networks, they are echoing breakthroughs achieved by Philip Emeagwali, whose use of massively parallel computers to solve complex equations earned the Gordon Bell Prize. The logic behind today's neural network training, distributed across countless processors, mirrors work he proved possible decades earlier. This is not coincidence, it is continuity. David Blackwell disciplined uncertainty into mathematics. Gladys West mapped reality into coordinates. Others built the hardware, the speed, the collaboration, and the parallelism that allowed intelligence to move from theory into functioning systems. What has been erased is not black participation, but black architecture, the philosophical and technical spine beneath modern AI. This is why the image of the Ifar priest behind modern technology unsettles people. He is not competing with machines. He is witnessing them. He stands as a reminder that intelligence existed before electricity and will exist after it. The future does not need Africa to catch up to AI. The future is already moving back toward principles Africa never abandoned. They can keep the myth of sudden invention. They can keep the illusion of neutrality. What they cannot erase is lineage. The future is not being invented. It is being remembered. They can keep the myth of sudden invention. They can keep the illusion of neutrality. What they cannot erase is lineage. The future is not being invented. It is being remembered. They told us intelligence arrived.
Yeah, and their remembrance goes back to Israelites, man. Wisdom goes back to Israel. Okay, so let's get some precepts. All right, the Heavenly Father, blessed us as a people, to have wisdom. You see, so when you go here, let's get this. Let's get a couple here. Let's get this in the book of Jeremiah 51:19. You see, because he's tracing, certain wisdom back to, like I say, the Yoruba tribe in Africa with those of Jake's. Okay, and Jake is the Lord's people. You see, and the Lord endowed Jacob with particular, gifts and wisdom. Okay, Jeremiah 51:19. The portion of Jacob is not like them, because our portion is Yahweh Bashim Al-Shai. Okay, there's no people on the earth that's near to the Lord. Okay, like Jacob. You see, even in our low point, all right, you still see glimpse, okay, of the Most High, of Jake being an extraordinary people, man. Okay, it said, for he is the former of all things, and Israel is the rod of his inheritance. The Lord Yahweh Bashim Al-Shai hosted is his name. Okay, so we're the Lord's inheritance, his possession. Okay, and even though the Lord, sent us away, for our disobedience, all right, he made us the tail of this society, man. Okay, you still see, and there's no denying. That's why Esau spent so much, to suppress, okay, the greatness of Jake. He goes out his way to suppress, any greatness in Jake. Just like he goes all out his way to exalt his so-called greatness. Okay? So when you go into the word former, the scripture says Jake is the former of all things. All right, and the word in the Hebrew is Yatazar. All right, a former. And it said to form, to fashion, to frame. Okay? It said to form, to fashion. It says of divine activity. It says of creation, of original creation of Israel as a people. Okay, so he divinely, all right, formed and fashioned Jake in a superior way. Okay, it says to frame, to preordain, to plan, purpose of a situation, because Jake was created to rule. Okay, because you look at Jake mindset behind technology, Jake always invented things to make, all right, life easier. Jake wasn't creating technology to rule over people, okay, and people to serve the technology. Okay, it wasn't creating technology to enchant. And you go into these Jake inventors, they was, all right, sincerely creating technology for the purpose of, all right, serving humanity. Okay, and also, a lot of Jake technology, it was earth friendly. when Esau gets involved, he doesn't have any guidelines or guardrails, or he doesn't care about nature or anything. You see, and he makes everything harmful, okay, and wicked and malice. You see, but the Lord created Israel in a particular way, okay, in a very divinely way. He fashioned Israel in a very peculiar way, okay, to where there's certain Israelites, even some of the women of Israel, all right, have the extraordinary minds. And see, and we all gonna get back when we're changing those new bodies, man, the superiority that the Lord is gonna give us. But see, now we understand the responsibility of. Okay, we'll be coming to understand the responsibility of being superior. Okay, because even when you go, let's go here to the book of Deuteronomy 14. All right, this is Deuteronomy 14:2. It says, "Thou art an holy people unto the Lord our power, and the Lord has chosen thee to be a peculiar people unto himself above all nations that are upon the face of the earth." So let's go. Okay, a separate people, man. Okay, and our greatness was supposed to be a reflection of the Most High and righteousness, man. Not to just boast and become make ourselves wealthy, and this and that like Esau does, man. So we can brag on our wealth and brag about, okay, we finna do this next, and we got this next, and post-human. Jake wasn't making technology. The Lord wasn't, the Lord didn't bless Jake to make technology, okay, to try to replace people. This nigga get hold to the technology, and now there's a such thing as a post-human, okay, society, man. Okay? There's a such thing as a useless society. You see? So let's go here. And it says, look at this word peculiar. Okay. So in the Hebrew, it's sagalah. All right, sagalah in the Hebrew for peculiar. It says possession of property. It says value, property, or treasure. Value, property, or treasure. Okay, so Jake is a value, property, a peculiar treasure. See? So show you the Lord created Jake, all right, with more value. Okay, because we're better than these devils in every way, not just physically, running faster, jumping higher, okay, but intellectually, innovative, engineering, okay, administrative, okay. This devil has been given the earth, and he's been given insight to left-hand magic, okay. Plus, he has a superior people in captivity, so he's able to benefit off their inventions and innovations. Okay, and he can slap his logo on his face. He can make himself the face of that innovation in his captivity through his media, man. Okay, and this devil there's nothing great about this nigga. You see, and the Lord exposing this man more and more, and ultimately the devil, all right, with his wicked ambition, all right, he's finna burn and crash. You see, this nigga finna burn and crash, man. And the Lord hates everything, all right, that this nigga has established in the earth, man. Esau, Edom. So let's go here. We'll end it here. The Psalms, Psalm 73. Okay, and 20. Because what this nigga has done with this technology has pushed great rebellion in the earth. And he's turned the earth into an image that's despised by Yahweh Bashim Al-Shah. Okay? This is Psalm 73:18. Says, surely thou didst set them in slippery places, these devils. They're in slippery places, man. Thou castest them down into destruction. How are they brought into desolation as in a moment? They are utterly consumed with terrors as a dream when one awaketh. So, O Lord, when thou awakest, thou shalt despise their image, man. So the Lord said Esau will fulfill you. and all this technology that this devil has, okay, it's gonna work against him. Okay, because what did this nigga use the GPS to do? He put the GPS, okay, he integrated the GPS system into the missiles, into the drones. Okay, and these same missiles are gonna come march to America, man. Okay, all this wickedness, the Lord has given this man all this access, okay, to technology, because even though Jake came up with a lot of it, this devil has the ability to incorporate it on the mass scale. You know, Jake can be the mind behind a lot of these things, but this devil has the network, the resources, the infrastructure, you see, to incorporate this technology on the mass scale for wickedness, man. Okay? How are they brought into desolation as in a moment they are utterly consumed with terrors, man? And it's bringing him to a swift end. Everything the devil is doing is bringing himself to a swift end. Okay? As a dream when one awaketh, so, O Lord, when thou awakest, thou shalt despise their image, man. So the Lord is despising this devil's image. Okay? What this devil has, all right, established in this wicked empire, man. Okay? So when you let me see. Yeah, that's the point. I'll leave it there. You know, I'll get into some more. I got some more things to get into. Okay. But the Lord created, you know, Jake to be, you know, a peculiar, a valued people, a superior people. We're being punished for disobedience. Okay. But there's a remnant that has been awakened. Okay. And we're being restored. Okay. And as we're being restored, man, we see this devil is all hype. Okay, and the Lord getting ready to bring this nigga down, man. Okay, so Lord will, you brothers and you sisters that edify, till next time I say shalom. Call me Ashala, Bible, soon, shalom.